A few things before we get started. I'll be showing visuals throughout this review from all around the Eternal campaign. There's such good artwork in this game that I just want to showcase some of the new locations and set pieces. Additionally, Doom Eternal is an M game for sure, so be aware of that. Without further ado, let's get into it. Doom Eternal is absolutely fantastic and provides FPS players with a high-intensity, ultra-responsive, challenging campaign to sink their teeth into. I tore through the single player this weekend, and I'm excited to share with you my thoughts on the experience. Thankfully, amid all the chaos in the world, FPS players finally have a fresh release for 2020. And to no one's surprise, it likely will end up being one, if not the best FPS released this year. Doom Eternal takes everything learned from the 2016 release and refines upon it, placing you in the driver's seat in a surprisingly deep story-filled campaign that spans a lot more locations than what players experienced in the previous Doom title. Id Software shows their level design mastery and flexes hard during this campaign, as they put you in fun arenas to duke it out with a whole new cast of enemies. Each of the enemies has specific strategies associated with taking them down, and the game does a great job of introducing you to these new enemy types. They encourage precision during the heat of the moment. No longer is it enough for you to just bounce around the arena, you have to be landing pinpoint precision shots on your opponent's wall continually moving around. The weapon sandbox is quite similar to 2016, with a few welcome changes like the meat hook grapple on your super shotgun, which adds even more mobility options to your kit, which you will need, as enemies are ruthless, even more ruthless than in 2016. This game can be tough. I mean really tough, and requires skillful mastery of the weapons, movement, knowledge of the level, and how and when to farm for health or ammo, and more just to survive. However, the difficulty felt fair, and always something that I could tackle if given enough chances. Although I will say the final stretch of the game is a brutally difficult maze that pushed me to my absolute limits. What stood out the most to me was just how well the game introduced you to the new enemy types, their weaknesses, and slowly taught you how to play the game better just by the way the encounters were laid out and designed. The devs here know their craft, as that skill is really missing in a lot of modern day titles that are bogged down in tedious text box style tutorials and overbearing helicopter designer hand-holding monotony. Doom Eternal subverts this by quickly showing you a short video of a possible way to take down your new foe, then throws you right into the gauntlet and says, "Get it done, Doom guy. We know you can." Sound design is off the scale, as usual, with all weapons, power-ups, pickups, environment noises, and more, enhancing the experience of a Doom game. The soundtrack thumps and bumps during the encounters and reduces to a pulsating murmur during the in-between traversal segments. Overall, it got me amped. But as I'll mention a bit later, the whole experience can get a bit, well, tiring. Slaying enemies by the horde with the amount of intensity inherent in Doom can be exhausting, and that's not a bad thing. That's Doom, baby! But I can definitely see that if FPS players weren't prepared, this will be mentally taxing for them. You're continually having to swap to a ton of different weapons with different upgrades, and the game gives you so many paths to upgrade those weapons even further, and you need to use them all to succeed within this sandbox, especially on the harder difficulties. Now, I don't think it should be any other way. That is Doom, living up to the essence of what the game is: heart-pounding, intense FPS action that pushes you to your very edge. But I will say, by the completion of the campaign, I was ready to take a nap. I was tired. It is intense, make no mistake. Speaking of those in-between traversal segments, Doom Eternal features some absolutely fantastic platforming sections that require you to have mastery over the movement tech featured in the game. You've got a double jump, a double dash that can be recharged with certain pickups midair. There's new pole vaults, man cannons, and wall clinging options that were viciously fun. I enjoyed these segments just as much as the heart-pounding gameplay. They offered a nice way to break things up a bit. This time around, Doom Guy has his ship, the Fortress of Doom, to offer a bit of a breather in between missions. This massive ship contains unlockables galore and serves as a hub to house the collectibles and secrets you find in your missions. It's a nice touch, and although it probably didn't need to be as big as it is, I enjoyed the fact that stashed away were classic costumes, soundtracks from the past 20 years on the walls that you could listen to, and even your own training arena in the basement. Doom Eternal's artwork and campaign are more ambitious than ever before, as you'll travel all over the place. I seriously want to commend the artwork team for the incredible work that you'll see on the journey through Doom Eternal. Each location is vastly different from the rest, and from an art perspective, it must have required the team to create an absolutely insane amount of assets. Doom 2016 really just bounced between Mars and the Firelands, which was fantastic, but Doom Eternal hardly lets you get your feet on the ground before being whisked away to another location with a completely different atmosphere. It's all beautiful. So to boil it down specifically, you guys, on PC the game ran incredibly for me and reminds me of what a rock-solid PC title should be on launch. It installed seamlessly, required no nonsense to get rolling, great performance paired with cutting-edge visuals abounded. I had to reset one checkpoint when an enemy spawned on the wrong side of the wall from me. Also, my friend Epos had an enemy get a little too excited and then yeeted right through a wall into space. So it definitely has a couple of tiny rough edges right now, but overall the experience was optimized and ready for release in my opinion. There are collectibles and secrets everywhere, alongside challenging secret encounters, new arena-style missions that are being added over time to keep you coming back, plus mission modifiers that allow you to return to encounters and fight again with augmented characteristics. The replayability here is quite a bit higher than Doom 2016, and if you like this gameplay, it's worth every penny. Now, a lot of you are asking me playtime numbers. I'm not going to share it in this video. I'll leave a link to a paste pen down below if people want to know how long it took to beat the game for me. I was a little bit faster than a lot of the other reviewers out there, but it felt like a full campaign experience and well worth my money. Now, you have the new 2v1 battle mode, which I will be playing over the next few days to share my opinion with you guys on. I just wanted to get through the campaign this weekend. What I love most and what shines through Eternal is the fact that id Software knows what Doom is, and they are creating games that fulfill what the namesake is all about. This generation of FPS titles seem to be filled with missteps left and right, because developers seem to try and take their franchises in new directions in an effort to capture a new audience. And in doing so, a lot of these franchises have lost track of what their game is actually about and the core audience who loved these games to begin with. Doom Eternal nails this, as did Doom 2016. It's a Doom game. It's intense FPS action with fast-paced arena levels that push the player to their absolute limit. Thank you, id, for making a game that refined the sandbox and honored the core fans of the franchise. As mentioned, a lot of the studios right now are sacrificing their core audience in an attempt to capitalize on trends to capture new audiences, and in doing so, many of them have lost the identity of their IP. Doom Eternal is a shining beacon to other modern FPS developers, showcasing how it's done. You can make really good FPS games without sprint right now. There were a few cons that I had on my experience, all of which really are quite minor, and they're likely just personal to me. Okay, this is not something that relates to the overall experience for probably most players. It is exhausting at times. You have to be ready for the fact that you need to manage on the higher difficulties all of the weapons in the sandbox. You have to be moving continually. It is intense, it is hard, and that will not fit every FPS player. That's not a problem. Doom should be designed this way. It should be exhausting. I will say near the end of the campaign, I did grow a little bit weary. I felt like the sandbox could have used a couple more evolutions. And that is a hard thing to say because the game already throws so much at you and there's so much awesome here. However, the last few hours of the game, I felt like I was battling the same hordes or the same compositions of enemies over and over again. It's a lot like an MMO, honestly. Once you start breaking down how to take the enemy types down in which order, you sort of have a priority list of, okay, I need to take him down first and then rotate over here. It's hard, don't get me wrong, and it really does require mastery of the sandbox. I felt like this time around there maybe was a little bit too much reliance on chainsaw and glory kills. Now, likely upon repeat playthroughs, as I get better at this sandbox, I won't have to lean on it. That's probably a crutch that was just me, but I really would have prioritized maybe ammo upgrades a little bit earlier on had I known the later battles were going to require me to farm ammo pretty regularly within the loop. And nothing's wrong with it, I just don't like hopping into animations mid-fight when the game's movement is so seamless and so good. This is going to be a really nitpicky tiny thing, but the Crucible blade didn't feel as great to use as I thought it was going to be. It kind of locks you into a glory kill style animation when swinging it, which is a little bit of a bummer because Everything else in the game feels so spot on and so perfect, and this was supposed to be like such an ultra hype moment. It's sick, don't get me wrong, but it didn't feel as good as it possibly could have felt, especially when compared to how great and crafted and just tight the rest of the sandbox is. So is Doom Eternal worth it? Yeah, if you like this kind of intense FPS action, of course it is. The replayability here is fantastic, and who knows, maybe I'll try my luck at one of the highest difficulties here. They even have like die once, lose your character permadeath style difficulties in here, which I can't even fathom, dude. The last bit of this gameplay pushed me beyond my limit for real. But yeah, id Software, well done, you guys. Doom Eternal's pretty rad. I will make a battle mode video if I think it's worth it. I've heard some cool things about the 2v1 mode, but I'm not fully sold on asymmetrical multiplayer. We will see though. I'll give it a chance. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know what you guys think of Doom Eternal down in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this, and also follow me over on Twitter at BBKDragoon. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you again next time.